The gentlemen are coming by.
Welcome to Gimmicks, a podcast about the high-concept, experimental, structure-breaking gimmick episodes of TV, from musicals to bottle episodes to a silent horror fairy tale. I'm Derek B. Gale, and who's with me today?
Hi, I'm Merrilee. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm literally just a guy. I don't know why I'm here, but I'm delighted to be in your presence right now, Derek.
Me too. I'm delighted to have you in my presence. And in fact, actually, hey Merrilee, what are you gonna bake for our college wicker group's bake sale this weekend?
Well, you know, I make a really empowering lemon bundt cake.
Yes.
But sorry, I could do it.
Perfect answer. I'm so happy. Already vibing. Great. This is gonna go great.
I couldn't commit. It made me laugh too hard.
It's okay. It's a funny line. We are talking about one of the most famous episodes of genre television in general, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 4, Episode 10, entitled Hush. Just hush. Real quick, before we get deep into it, just a kind of a general overview of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. For those of you who might be listening and somehow don't know what this show is, I guess it's possible. I've met people who've never watched it before.
Yeah, or, you know, maybe people have like a general idea, but they never got around to it. Or maybe you think that you like genre television, but like not that genre for whatever reason. I promise it's worth it.
If you just hear the name Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you're like, oh, that's a supernatural drama that I might not like. It's actually way different than you'd expect it to be. Yeah. Like I said, it is a supernatural drama created by Joss Whedon that aired from 1997 to 2003 for 5 seasons on the WB and 2 seasons on UPN for 7 total. In short, it is a coming-of-age story about the titular superpowered vampire / demon / everything evil Slayer, Buffy, who is played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, as well as her friends and family, all dealing with the struggles of growing up while living in a world of fantasy and sci-fi monsters and magic that all function as metaphors for, like, basically the trauma of becoming an adult. So it's the most succinct way I could put a lot of the complicated mythology into. It's technically based on this very different 1992 Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, but that's honestly been very overshadowed in history because the show is regarded as one of the best television shows of all time, frequently popping up on every best of list imaginable, cited as one of those shows that ascended television into the golden age, and the way that it's sort of handled seasonal art, story arc structure, and its focus on characterization. All that stuff is cited as a huge influence and inspiration by many television writers and on many genre shows to this day, honestly. So a big legacy, also a lot of baggage. We'll get into it. But before we do, Merrilee, what is your personal history with Buffy?
Well, so here's the thing. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer a whole lot, for someone who's never actually finished the 7th season.
What?
Yeah. So here's my thing. I don't like to watch endings. Okay. So like I still haven't seen the last season of The Good Place, which is one of my favorite television shows to have ever aired ever of all time. Because I know if it's the last, if I watch it, it's over.
Sure.
So I have never finished season 7, but I've watched the first 6 seasons many times.
This is blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, this is a dirty secret that I've never admitted to anybody before. So I hope that you enjoyed my secret shame. I've never finished Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I mean, I will say season 7 probably, in my opinion, many people disagree. I think it might be the weakest season of the show, though I like the first half of it a lot. I think the last half of it is very dodgy, but I like the final episode, I think, a lot more than most people do. I think the series finale is incredibly good.
I 100% believe it. I believe
Sure.
it. I buy it. I know what happens in it. I read episode descriptions. I'm gonna watch it someday, just not today.
Sure. Fair enough. That'll be a really interesting day when you finally get around to it. Momentous day. I'll throw you a party.
I'll hold you to that. But so here's the thing. Buffy was my older sister. She's 7 years older than I am. So like a bit of an age gap, right? She used to love Buffy, and I knew that she really liked it. And so I wanted to watch it, but I never really got around to it till I was in high school because she hoarded her DVDs. Obviously, she didn't want her elementary school little sister to go through her stuff, but she was in college, so she wasn't there to stop me. I did watch some Buffy on TV when I was really little, which was perhaps a mistake. But especially because the episodes that I really remember are ones that, well, there's this one. I do remember watching Hush on TV, and I remember thinking, this is maybe something I shouldn't be watching. I'm going to do it. But the episode that when I learned this was an episode of Buffy, I was very surprised because it like lived in my brain rent free, was Killed by Death.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a first season. No, it's that second season. Yeah. Second season episode. That's a little similar to Hush, actually, because it's like a fairy tale kind of theme.
Yeah.
But the bad guy in that episode has he kills people with like his eyeballs, and like the way that they extend it out onto and like kill the victims, like sucking through like his horrible eye things. I saw that on television as a younger person.
Oh yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, that's not going to cause trauma.
Yikes. Oh God, what an awful, like there's so many episodes. The majority of episodes of Buffy are not very scary is the thing for a horror show, for ostensibly a horror show.
No.
Most
and, like,
of them
I can
are
watch that
funny.
now and like be totally fine.
Yeah.
But I was born in 91. And so the show started in like what, 96?
97.
97.
Yeah.
So this was season 2, so it would have been coming out in 98. I was 7 years old.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Of all the episodes.
Yeah, that was the one. I remember
Yikes.
thinking. Yeah, and so like when I saw it, when I was like going through my serious Buffy rewatch, because I was like, this is a really good show, I should watch Buffy. And it was excellent. I remember thinking, oh God, this was a Buffy episode? This fucked me up.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I love Buffy though. It's one of my favorites. Again, I haven't finished it. I'm really sorry. But I will watch just episodes. I'll just get a craving and I'll just go and watch that one episode and just like have a very happy place moment about it.
Yeah. I totally get that. It's definitely for me the kind of show that I can just get lost in an accidental rewatch of it. Like it's hard to just.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, oh man, I haven't seen this one in a long time. I really liked it. I just feel like watching it as like my comfort show kind of thing. And then it's like, oh, well, I've watched all of season 5 again for the 17th time. All right. Well, whoops. Yeah.
It was really hard. I watched Hush, again for this. I kept thinking, what if I just started season 4 again? Like got myself a little context. And I had to stop myself because like, no, you're focused. You're doing Hush. That's it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that though, because I feel like everyone that I've ever talked to that was into it, even if they didn't get into it until later, did at least have some kind of experience because it was kind of inescapable, I feel like, when it was originally airing, whether you wanted to watch it or not. And it's always funny to hear like what people's like the one episode that they remember from it was. For me, I didn't watch it until like 2009. So I didn't watch it until college, but I do remember
When we met.
Yeah. And I remember like the show airing, and I remember always hearing about it, but I didn't get the WB, so where I lived. So like obviously the first 5 seasons I couldn't watch it. I did have UPN, but by that point, like
yeah,
it's so
no,
late in
nobody
the show,
wants
who
to
cares?
start in season 6.
Yeah, worst. That would be the worst one to start. To start off with something. But I still like at some point at different points I caught it in reruns. I think the one that I remember was the season 3 episode Beauty and the Beasts Beauty
that
and the Beast.
one. Yeah,
which is like an okay episode.
It's
I
fine.
think it's like neither. I think it's very middle of the road. I think I like got the gist of the show from that, but you know, it was at an age where it's not like you could seek out the show and watch all of it. It's like, well, I saw my one random episode. All right, I'm good. But I'd heard about it for such a long time, and as someone who loves TV and loves reading about TV, this was a show that was just cited by everyone all the time whenever they were talking about shows. It was always a reference point if you were reviewing or critically discussing a show. It would always be compared to Buffy or reference back to Buffy or say that it was playing on something that Buffy established. Or if you're ever reading interviews with writers or something like that, it's always like, yeah, I was watching Buffy and we just based our story on that. Like it was everywhere. And so it was kind of like organically integrated into my list of things to watch just because it seemed like I just had to, you know? And then when I did, I feel like I got it like instantly. Like I think the reason I watched it when I did is because it was available for streaming, so it was easy to access. And I think even knowing people ahead of time would warn me like, oh, season 1's pretty rough. You're going to have to get through it. I remember watching the very first episode and specifically it's burned in my brain the moment that Buffy like bumps into Cordelia and Cordelia's mad at her and she's like, oh, I've got to call everyone I've ever met right now, and pulls out her like giant brick flip phone. I'm like, this show fucking rules.
Yeah.
I think what often gets undersold about it is that it's one of the funniest shows on television.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that I never grasped that. I always knew the drama of it all and everything. But it's like, this show makes me feel so good when I watch it because it is so funny and the characters are so lovable. Every single one of them is you either love them or if you don't like them, they're at least like interesting most of the time.
Most of the time.
Riley notwithstanding, I guess. But
okay, listen, we're gonna have words about Riley later.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just fell in love with it like right from the get-go, and it's got its ups and downs like any TV show. But I think the truth is that it's just so it's a show that really did try to push boundaries and is so intentionally challenging and challenged itself and challenged its viewers, but was never pretentious about it, I think is the key. It never felt like it was trying to be, you know, what we know prestige TV now. It always still felt like genre B movie network fun stuff in a way that's really hard to pull off, and it's still as many shows that are based on Buffy and kind of influenced by it, it's still very rare to see a show really nail that formula as well as this show did.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes, Buffy's good.
So good.
It is so good. One thing too, I guess kind of on that note, the other thing about Buffy that I think is fascinating is that it is very famous for doing a lot of high concept experimental episodes like the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
We were talking about it off mic, like the list that I had when I initially was talking to you about the podcast has only grown because it's sort of like, oh yeah, I forgot about this episode. Oh, this episode kind of counts, doesn't it? Oh yeah, what about this episode? And like, it's certainly not the first to do experimental high concept episodes, like not by a long shot. But I think the thing that's interesting about Buffy is that it's one of the few that really nails every single time they do an episode like that.
Yeah.
And they're all considered like the best episodes of the show and sometimes the best episodes of television, like every single one of them.
Yeah, like this one. No pressure, but.
Right. Exactly.
Why did I pick Hush again?
Because it's, you know what? I think it's actually, I'm really glad that you picked this one because I think of all the Buffy episodes that we could do, and there are many of them. And if you're wondering, like, why are y'all doing Hush and not X? I will get to it eventually. I'm willing to do as many Buffy episodes as people are willing to listen to and be on an episode with me with. But I think what's interesting about Hush is that I do think that this particular one, which is the dialogue-free or almost dialogue-free, like silent episode, that is one that is a lot rarer to find on TV. Very few TV shows have done this type of episode.
Yeah.
And And I think this is still like the high mark like of it. I don't think there's any that have ever been better than this one.
Agreed. 100% agreed. I think that having a dialogue-free or mostly dialogue-free episode is really, really tricky for a number of reasons. First of all, how are you going to like sell the audience on why nobody's talking in this episode? It's a tricky gamble that not every show has like the setup for. So that's number one. Number two is that it's got to be really hard for the actors. Like I did a little research on my own, and there was a quote from like I think Allison Hannigan, who was talking about the first scene when all of the Scoobies get together after things are quiet. Apparently, the rehearsal for that scene took a lot longer than normal because all of the actors like they didn't have the dialogue to cue all of their movements and stuff off of anymore. So it took a lot longer for them to figure out like the rhythm. So it, not only is it a writing challenge, it's an acting challenge. And I don't think a lot of people they wouldn't
take that. Like, I think it'll be hard to take that risk.
Yeah, that it won't work, especially because we've got this beautiful paragon of the concept, Hush, that they're obviously going to be compared to. So most people just won't do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, although, you know, it's funny though, like that works for this episode, but then Once More with Feeling is also kind of in the same boat as being a top tier, but shows are pretty unafraid to do musical episodes now, which is kind of hilarious for better or worse.
especially, God, I wish you were a little afraid of it, frankly. Listen, every medical drama doesn't need to have an episode where someone has a brain tumor or something and it's like, everybody's singing now.
It's fun. Makes it great fodder for this podcast, though, I guess. But
true enough. I hope that you are ready to have a Scrubs and an ER episode and a House episode with all of the same core idea.
Oh, I think there's a Grey's Anatomy one as well. So.
Of course there is.
Yeah. I fully agree with you though. I think it's challenging to do. It's challenging to make it make sense in the universe of the show. Buffy has magic, so like it makes it really easy to figure out creative ways to make the high concept stuff works, but even still challenging to create.
College.
Isn't this amazing?
Wow.
Where anything can happen.
What if I can't cut it?
And everything can change.
You are going to have to take care of yourself now.
Buffy, this is all about fear.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, Nicholas Brendan, Allison Hannigan, Seth Green, and Anthony Head.
This time we play it my way.
High school is over. The all-new season of Buffy.
So another thing I wanted to bring up, I think everyone on the show, I think a big strength of it is that everyone is always super game to do whatever they need to do and to push boundaries. I think like, I want to call it out earlier because there is like the elephant in the room of like the Joss Whedon of it all.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring it up early because a lot of the background stuff that I have cited is like is cited from him and like quotes from him because obviously he's the one that's the most dominant voice talking about this stuff. The audio commentary is literally just him, which I wouldn't recommend because it's very annoying. But like the truth of the matter is that Joss Whedon has over years, it hit the fan this past year, but over the years been steadily revealed to be more and more of just a shit abusive human. And you know, I think it's I don't begrudge anyone for just being like, well, cool, anything Whedon's ever made, I'm just gonna not ever touch again. And I think that's if that's what you need to do, I think that's totally fair. Yeah. I think when what's always weird is like something like Buffy. There's two aspects of it. One, it's so influential on everything and people who are like good creators that have gone on to take influences from it. It has so many positive effects on people's lives that it's kind of inescapable. But also the other thing I think is even more important is that there are a lot of really good, talented people who still worked on that show other than Whedon that made it the show that it is.
Yeah. There's so many other like writers and directors and people behind the camera. And like specifically even in this episode, even like Christoph Beck, who does the score, he does such incredible work in this episode. Like it's so beautiful. And like you do what you got to do. And I understand, but in my opinion, like you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, or like maybe you just shouldn't. You think about where what energies are created and brought to the project by whom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think that like TV is a lot more challenging than like, you know, comedians and like book authors and stuff because so many hands touch it.
We kind of have like an auteur idea, and so a lot of the time like a showrunner is like, especially for Buffy, we had all of these years like this cult of the creator around it. But it's not just one guy. It's not just the showrunner. There is a writer's room and like a rotating cast of directors. There's editors. There are a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. I mean, even I was looking at like this season in particular. So not even covering the whole show, but like this season in particular. One of the things I like about Buffy is that like, it's always like writers, they write a few episodes and it's like, you're good. You're being promoted to producer. So love that for them. But like this season, like Marty Noxon was promoted to supervising producer. And she, in addition to like show running the last couple seasons of the show, I would argue a little bit even more, did more work on it than Whedon did for the last 2 years of it, to be honest.
I agree.
And I think she gets a lot of shit for the bad stuff of those seasons and not enough credit for all the good stuff of those seasons. And a lot of the bad stuff might have actually been Whedon and not her. So
100%.
Just my opinion.
So there's this thing that I call Joss Whedon's disease, that I thought of the name of that, I think in like 2016, and every year it's just been more true. Where it's the idea is like there's somebody who was really progressive in the 90s, that as it turns out, as time moves on, they have not moved with the time, and then actually all of their stuff was never as progressive as we all wanted to believe. Like Joss is the reason why I've named this particular affliction, but like other known sufferers are RuPaul and Joanne.
Yeah. Yep.
So like it's something that I think about a lot, especially in relation to some of his bigger projects, like Buffy in particular. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, obviously, but when it's 2021 and you're watching the show, you can pick up a lot of things with your more modern eyes than you would have seen originally.
Oh yeah, and even the stuff that Whedon has had to say in interviews about it, it's like in retro, I think at the time you can have your blinders on for a long time. It's just like, oh, he's obviously even if he says something that feels a little slut shamey or something, like he's always, it's the best of intentions. It was the times, but then it's like looking back, it's just sort of like, listening to the commentary. There's things where it comes up and it's just like complaining about like not having total control over everything, and it's like, ooh, yikes.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just like it's a lot of like warning signs, and it's such a sickeningly common thing in Hollywood, especially where it's like men who are honestly talented and like good at what they do, but think that the only way they can sort of exert themselves as an auteur is to be abusive towards other people. You know, and and it's just like the thing with Whedon is a sort of like you were already like, everybody told you that you were good at your job and you were good at your job. You could have continued to be good at your job without doing this anyway. Like,
no, especially like Joss is like third generation TV, like nepotism. He was gonna be on television no matter what. Like you didn't have to be a jerk to get there, you know?
Yeah.
Like my guy.
Yeah. It's so frustrating. I think that we don't have to continue on this tangent forever, but just
we can cut all of this. It's fine.
Yeah, but no, I think it's important though, and good to vent. But like, I didn't watch Angel until very recently, and the majority of it, I was watching it after Charisma Carpenter, spoke out about all the abuse that she, the ways that Joss Whedon abused her. I shouldn't even try to sugarcoat it beyond that.
Yeah.
And so it is interesting. I'm kind of glad that I watched it with that lens, to be honest, even though it was weird to watch it for the first time with that, because for one, I'm watching it for Charisma Carpenter and she's so fucking good.
She's so good. She's so good. I love Charisma.
But also it's like that show I feel like is the perfect, it perfectly encapsulates the fallacy of like needing to suffer for your art and it being like okay to be abusive to get good art out of it, because the points when Whedon was the most abusive to Charisma and did the worst shit to her both on screen and off screen are condensed like into like the worst points of the show. Like the season of the show that is just objectively not as good as any other season of the show. It's like a step down, and it's like, oh, this only happened because you were trying to drag an actress that you had a beef with through the mud and like make her feel horrible and write her off the show. And the show literally like actually was hurt by that. It tanks because of that.
Yeah.
So good job for proving all of us right, asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
Charisma is so great, and I am so glad that she is out there flourishing because she deserves it. She's like, Cordelia was always one of my favorite characters, and
me too. Yeah,
God, I love Cordy.
Yep, me too. She's still my number one. It went back and forth between her and Anya. But I think then when I watched Angel, it's like, nope, it's Cordy. Cordy's my favorite character of both shows, of up there favorite characters of all time, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. We got that out of the way. I'm going to be citing Whedon because he wrote and directed this episode, but like we know he fucking sucks. Unfortunately, some of his ideas are good and he is talented at what he does, but I will never support anything he ever does again. And honestly, it would be nice if he just stays in his little corner with his money and never speaks or does anything else ever again. I'd be fine.
Yeah,
with that,
like he can just like cash his checks and walk away. I don't need to see his name on that new HBO show that I was interested in, but now can't watch.
Yeah, totally blows.
Yeah.
But I wanted to call out some other people that worked on the show, in addition to Marty Noxon, who also like went on to create Unreal and Sharp Objects. Jane Espenson was promoted to executive producer in season 4. She went on to write on Battlestar Galactica and Torchwood.
She's so good.
Once Upon a Time. She's every time she's ever turned into a script for any TV show she's ever worked on, it's always good. So A+. And also the executive story editor for this season was Douglas Petrie. He went on to
so good.
He's also so good, went on to produce Pushing Daisies and Daredevil, among many other things. So basically, every writer you can pull out of the show dominates genre TV to this day, is how it works. Is how it works.
Can't even shout, can't even cry. The gentlemen are coming by, looking in windows, knocking on doors. They need to take 7 and they might take yours. Can't call to mom, can't say a word. You're gonna die screaming, but you won't be her.
Hush, a special Buffy the Vampire Slayer on the WB's new Tuesday.
The genesis of Hush. We've already kind of gotten into some of it, but simple gist, like we said, very little dialogue in this episode. Only about 17 of its 44-minute runtime contains any dialogue at all, which is actually more than I remembered. I always remember this episode as being like before the teaser. They all lose their voices, but it's pretty much the whole first act and then the like last 5 minutes of it or so. But you still feel the amount of dialogue-lessness in the episode. Whatever, you know. So Whedon said in the DVD commentary that he had like kind of considered this sort of episode from the beginning of the show, like just for fun, doing an episode with less dialogue, but I don't think ever thought it as a serious idea until after a while. I think everyone sort of noticed that, Buffy is a show that really shines because of its dialogue. A lot of the praise at the time and even now is just like, wow, the dialogue in this show is just so good. Everybody talks and it's funny and witty and great. And he sort of cited like the kind of two people talking shorthand, like kind of equating it to being like radio with faces, essentially, because it is literally a lot of TV is just literally people talking with not a lot of other visual information, because it's easy to do that on a TV schedule. And I mean, it makes sense. It works for plenty of shows. You can get great television out of just two people talking to each other.
Yeah.
But the reality is that like, if you want something to be like quote unquote cinematic, that is something that requires a lot more visually happening on screen. So his sort of idea and counter for it was like, okay, well, what if to sort of be a challenge for a show that is, well known for its amazing dialogue? What if we took dialogue out of the equation? That means you're forced to tell your story more visually. And if you do that well, it ergo becomes more cinematic, which is what they were kind of striving for. And I think you can kind of see that in this episode, because there is a lot, in addition to just like everyone moving their arms around and gesturing a lot more, there's generally more movement with the camera throughout it. And I think it's really like the first time in the show that like there is a lot more dynamic camera work and cinematography. You see a lot more of it going forward, but this is the first time when it's like you have that tracking shot throughout the Initiative's frat house at one point.
Yeah.
Where you're just following them for a very long time. Like you would never see that on the show before this episode.
No.
So in terms of the plot, though, obviously that concept isn't enough. And I think what makes this episode stand out among a lot of other ones is that it has the perfect plot kind of grafted onto this concept.
Yeah.
So like if you're going to do a silent episode and it's a supernatural show, why not make a silent horror movie? And so it was inspired by a nightmare that Whedon said he had as a child about being approached by a floating monster. Combine that with like just this dreamlike visual and fear of being attacked and unable to scream, which is like a very scary dream that I feel like a lot of us have had.
Yeah.
And like, since all of those elements kind of come from like childlike fear, that sort of brought them to doing a Brothers Grimm fairy tale like creature, which in turn would be from an older, more classical time period, which is how you come to the gentlemen, who are these sort of out of time, like polite, creepily smiling, high class, industrial age / Victorian, like authority vibed fit dudes who like, they would be scary to children as these creepy authority figures, but they're also scary to all of us because they're just hella creepy.
Yeah, like the makeup artists really knocked it out of the park, as well as the actors who performed through that makeup. They really just chills. Yeah.
Actors, which include the lead gentleman, is most famously played by Doug Jones.
Yeah.
Our boy, man. I love him. I mean, who
Me
doesn't
too.
love him? If you love monsters, you gotta love him.
You've got to love Doug Jones. He's such an amazing performer. Are you ready for me to ruin Hush for you every time you watch it?
Oh, please do.
Okay, so I read an interview where Doug was talking about like this performance for Hush, because obviously it's so famous now. And he was talking about his audition process, and the audition was you like had to go in there and you had to like smile very creepily. And Joss was in the room and he saw it, and Doug was cast as well as one other guy, and who is when you watch the show, you always see Doug Jones as gentleman with a shorter guy, who's the other lead gentleman, and Doug's face when he was doing that creepy smile was so good. Joss had them go and so the monster masks and the makeup that they were making, it was a fixed mouth. And he removed the fixed mouth for their two gentlemen because their smile was way creepier than what they were doing. So whenever you watch the gentleman group, there are going to be two who are smiling and performing through the makeup, and then all of the other gentlemen in the background have a fixed mouth.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they just are there, and they can't really influence the expression, but Doug and the other one can.
That's wild though, because I just assumed it was all fake
Nope.
mouths on all of them.
That's
incredible.
Yeah, the way that they performed in, like, he liked it so much better that which obviously made more work for Doug. And I truly apologize to the other actor who did an incredible performance. I don't remember his name, even though I know that Doug Jones did cite it in the article. They had to do more work. They had to be smiling constantly every time that they were in frame because it wasn't fixed. But next time you watch it, you're going to look and you're going to see the other background gentlemen. They all have a like rictus grin with a much wider mouth because it's fixed.
That's wild. I think the other guy you're referring to is Camden Toy, I believe.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah. That is fascinating. And even like the other gentlemen that they have there, like if they haven't played a monster before, they're professional mimes, which is genius. Like, I don't know if I would have really thought about that if I was thinking of casting these people. And it's such a genius idea. And I think it really helps because compared to, every other actor obviously is a little bit out of their element, not being able to speak. And so it makes the gentleman, I think, stand out more for being so in their own body and so able to use their body.
So comfortable with it.
Comfortable, yeah. They're so comfortable with it. And I think that almost like when you're comparing the two and contrasting the two, it makes them feel even more alien from everyone else at that point.
Yeah. They're having a great time the whole time.
Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, they're so fun. They're iconic villains for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, all the inspiration of it. They think they cite that they drew inspiration from Nosferatu, Pinhead, and Mr. Burns.
I mean, now that you say that, yeah.
I see it. Yep.
Uh-huh.
They even they sort of took inspiration from like Renfield from Dracula with the straitjacketed footmen. I think they were kind of going for like, oh, we got a Victorian thing, we'll have kind of a class thing. So you have these high class floating polite men, and then they're sort of more on the ground peasant like footmen who do all the dirty work and actually like hold people down and everything.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I hate the footmen. I hate the footmen. Like, I get it. You had to have, like, some guys for Buffy to beat up. I think it would have been creepier if it was just the gentleman.
I kind of agree with you. I think I always forget that they exist until I'm watching the episode again.
Yeah.
You know, they're like well acted physically and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
They're doing a great job. It's just when you see the gentleman floating by and then you have the footmen running around in their straitjackets, it just kind of ruins the mood.
They kind of feel like actors at an amusement park during Halloween.
Yeah, that's it. That's 100% it.
And it's like clearly like that's what they were instructed to do. And in any other Buffy episode, I think that they would fit in just fine.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I kind of agree with you. It definitely sort of softens the impact of the gentleman.
Yeah. Especially like the first scene where the gentlemen are going through town, like the way that like the gentlemen are performing their actions and like very, very deliberately going around. I think that would have been just fine with them. But then obviously you wouldn't have had all of the numbers against Buffy and Riley in the last fight. So
yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah. You gotta have your foot soldiers, I guess. The only other couple of interesting bits about the gentleman is that like they did there are some really good special effects in this because the way that they have the gentleman floating, they're either on a dolly riding it, they're on wires that are erased out of it, or they're like on a crane that has to get erased out of it. Which, you know, for 1999 on a very low budget show like Buffy, I think is quite a feat Buffy has had some really awful looking monsters.
Yeah. I remember Moloch from season 1.
Oh boy. You know what? At least like he has like a cool design costume. Then you get like the mayor snake, which is like cool concept,
what about the
but
puppet?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you've never seen Buffy season 1, just know that there's some stinkers in there and it gets better, I promise.
Yeah. It's still fun as hell though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but like I said, these are super iconic villains. They're so famous that they're literally on the DVD cover for this season, despite only appearing this one episode. They kind of more people. I think they are the most famous of standalone villains for sure. I think you'd argue that they're more famous than even some of the big bads of this show at this point.
I would agree.
Like maybe the big bad of this exact season that they're in.
Yeah, maybe. Perhaps one could say.
But yeah, so you mentioned it, but like a true silent movie, the score really takes center stage here.
Yeah.
I have one funny quote, very short and sweet quote from Christoph Beck, the show's composer. He said in the DVD featurette that when he was told, he said, "I knew I was in for a treat and a nightmare." It's okay, buddy. You did a great job. You did a good job.
Especially, I think this is the first instance of like the love theme between Buffy and Riley, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. It is. It's a good theme. You know, I think the music on this show, it gets noted sometimes. I think particularly like, you know, in the musical, obviously. But I do think I feel like it's less talked about how good a lot of the particular recurring motifs are.
Yeah.
And that's one that I don't feel like I ever think about very much or hear about. I think maybe because it is Buffy and Riley's theme. But yeah, I agree with you when listening to it, like, oh yeah, that's a really beautiful love theme.
Yeah.
This episode has a good legacy too. Like we've said, it's one of the most well-regarded episodes of the show. A lot of people's favorite episodes. Some people would list it as like one of the best episodes, if not the best episode of the show, depending on who you ask. There's a lot of great contenders there for that.
Yeah.
But it's also the only episode in the entire series, still blows my mind, to be nominated for an Emmy Award in Outstanding Writing for a Drama Series.
Yeah.
Despite being a show that's like known for being well written, only time it was nominated for an Emmy. I think it's worth noting that in addition to being a genre show, and up until I feel like fairly recently, the Emmys didn't really like genre stuff, just like the Oscars.
Yeah.
The tide has kind of turned on that in some regards, but at the time, straight up no. So it's it's great that it was nominated at all. I think it speaks even more the fact that it was nominated against 2 episodes each of The West Wing and The Sopranos. The only competitors were just 2 West Wings and 2 Sopranos. And then it lost to a West Wing episode.
Which one?
In Excelsis Dio, which was the show's first Christmas episode.
Oh, that's a really good one, though.
Cool. I've never seen The West Wing, so...
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I like The West Wing, actually. It does not matter, but I do like the show. I do wish that it had literally any other legacy, though.
Yeah. Sure.
It's fine.
But like, those are big talked about shows at the time that were like not genre shows. They're also the top 2 nominated shows for like everything in the Emmys. The West Wing won the most awards that year. So like the fact that Buffy lost out to that, I think speaks a lot for how good this episode was in spite of everything going against it, in the eyes of like awards people.
For sure. For a second, I thought you were going to like say that it's lost against something like Crash and like the TV equivalent of Crash, and it was like we really
I don't even know what that would be, to be honest.
I don't either. I was like, what else would there be?
Right. I don't know. This episode was also nominated for Outstanding Cinematography for a single camera series. So shout out to cinematographer Michael Gershman.
Michael Gershman,
yeah. It also lost out to, you guessed it, The West Wing.
Yeah.
But
Same
I mean,
episode
I think,
or a different one?
You know what? I did not look deeply enough into it because it's actually hard. It's actually not very easy to look up who won these sort of what I think they would classify as lower tier awards. You have to kind of dig a little deeply. Like you can't just look it up on Wikipedia. You have to actually look up for these types of awards, which, is a bummer because it's not like cinematography isn't important. Like
it's hugely important. It's one of the most important things. That's so lame.
Yep. Very lame. It's irritating. But yeah, I mean, that is the other thing is that it looks really good. And I think, so I'm glad that it got nominated for a cinematography award too, because it deserves it. But yeah, so it's got a legacy, that's for sure. You can actually still find like new writing about it even today. We were talking about this off mic, but it's like, it's one of those things where like Buffy is a show that has been talked about over and over and over again. And yet I feel like we're all still compelled to continue talking about it because I think as the years pass, there's still sort of the things that either aren't dated or are dated, I think are always really fascinating given how culture evolves, and the things that sort of like, oh wow, weird how this is still relevant, or conversely like, oh wow, I'm really glad that we don't do that. We don't have characters saying things like that anymore.
Yeah.
There was like, I was looking at like in 2020 alone, like I think some of the top Google results are for a film school rejects article written in 2020. That was just like a retrospective. There's also like an article on Slate that was written in 2020 about how the episode is a metaphor for censorship, like within authoritarian governments. I think relating it to like the Trump administration and stuff like that, which I think is kind of fascinating. So there's always new takes that you can find for this show because it's a wealth of material.
Truly, the thing about Buffy the Vampire Slayer is that it is good, and it's so filled with stuff. You can like look for, we've been looking for 20 years, and we're still finding new things to talk about, which is incredible. There's just so much there.
Yeah, really is. Well, why don't we dig into all that's there?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about the episode. This episode is available for streaming in the US on Hulu and Amazon Prime and on DVD if you would like to watch along with us. The episode synopsis for Hush, per IMDb, is: when everyone in Sunnydale loses their voice, the Scooby Gang must silently solve the mystery of the monsters who stole their ability to speak. The original air date was December 14th, 1999, and it was, like we said, written and directed by Joss Whedon. This episode opens with a dream. You know it's going to be a good Buffy episode if it opens with a dream sequence.
For sure. And Buffy has some of the best dream sequences I've ever seen put to television. I always love a good dream sequence on Buffy.
In this case, Buffy is dreaming that she's in class listening to a lecture where Dr. Maggie Walsh is discussing the difference between language and communication.
Talking about communication, talking about language, not the same thing. It's about inspiration. Not the idea, but the moment before the idea when it's total. When it blossoms in your mind and connects to everything. It's about the thoughts and experiences that we don't have a word for.
Which spells out the episode's theme right off the bat.
Right off the bat. This is what it is.
Yeah.
Communication. Language. Yeah. Not the same thing.
Yeah. I love that though, because it's one of those things that like, it's very simple when you like hear that, but it's not something that I feel like we think about very often.
No.
And I think the real joy of this episode is how well it demonstrates those differences. And sort of how like language can be actually an impediment to communication, as, you know, counterintuitive as that sounds. The way that this is sort of demonstrated in the dream is that she's sort of instructing Buffy and the dream version of Riley to who is her love interest this season. I'm sure we will talk very deeply about him. They basically are asked to kiss sensually in front of class to demonstrate how you can communicate without words, basically.
This is the part of the dream sequence that always stands out to me. Like when Buffy's still laying on the desk.
This feels very strange.
Don't worry. If I kiss you, it'll make the sun go down.
My brain always is like, well, what does that mean? But fast forward. What? I'll kiss you and the sun will go down. It'll make the sun go down. What? Like, dream what?
Yeah.
What is it? What does that mean?
Yeah,
and it's never addressed. It's just like a dream weirdness moment.
Yeah. It is weird though, because Buffy is a show where their dreams, I mean, it's funny because the dreams either have incredibly loaded lines of dialogue that play into things, or they are just intentionally the most random thing in the world, which is true to dreams, I guess. But yeah, that is something. It's like, is it a metaphor for like how their relationship is doomed? I don't know.
I don't know. I could say a lot of things about it, but none of them are valid or important to Hush. So I'll kiss you and it'll make the sun go down. Okay, Riley. All right.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
And then we have more important things to do, like a little girl singing a creepy rhyme.
Do you hear that?
Can't even shout, can't even cry. The gentlemen are coming by. Looking in windows, knocking on doors. They need to take 7 and they might take yours. Can't call to mom. Can't say a word. You're gonna die screaming, but you won't be heard.
A little girl holding like a weird looking wooden box who's singing a super creepy song about the gentleman.
It is.
We also get our first glimpse in the stream of the gentleman, which basically is the jump scare that scares Buffy out of her dream. So we get a glimpse of what's to come. After this, Buffy does have a really brief interaction with the real Riley, who, if you've forgotten or don't know, at this point in the show, he has the secret identity of like a demon hunter with the Initiative, which is like a project of the U.S. government. But Buffy, despite being a demon slayer herself, knows nothing about any of this. So, and he doesn't know anything about Buffy either. So it's the sort of two superheroes who don't know their respective secret identities, trying to keep their secret identities safe from each other, unaware that they're part of the same world.
Which is a very fun trope.
It is. I would argue that Buffy and Riley's dynamic is at its best in this episode.
Yeah. Are we gonna talk about Riley now, or do you want to talk about Riley later?
Why don't we just do it now and get out of the way? Because stuff is gonna come up with them, and that's like another kind of elephant, I feel like, for this particular episode.
Okay.
That's worth addressing.
Okay. So I need you to know something, Derek.
Sure,
I need you
yeah.
to know something about my personality. I think about 10 years ago, I decided that it was going to be my personality trait that I'm going to love every female character that the show doesn't want you to love.
Okay.
And I've lived my life like that. And the thing is, Riley gets a little bit of that passion from me.
Okay.
Because all of the fandom hates him. And I think that Riley is an okay character.
Sure.
I think that some of the stuff about him is actually really interesting and could be very cool. And if you don't like Riley, you're not paying attention.
I think that that's a really good take, actually. I think, like, with me, Riley was always a character. I never got the hatred for him, because for me it was always like I kind of neither feel here nor there with him. I feel like he's just sort of like, he's the love interest. I get some of the interesting stuff that they're doing with him, but out of all the characters of the show, he's the one that I never connected to or cared about. And I think because he's so distant from like who I am personally and like what I'm interested in. Again, I agree with you. I think some of the stuff that he goes through and the role that he plays in this show, especially as sort of like the kind of classical masculine archetype that kind of bumps up against this like feminist kind of story, is a really fascinating character to have. And I think oftentimes you have that character and they kind of have to be an antagonist or villainized as sort of like the woman hating man guy. But it's sort of like, okay, what if you have a guy that does have like these sort of like very traditionally masculine classical values and tries to sort of live with that, and he's still like a good guy and well-intentioned, but like in a way where it sort of shows that there is still like kind of toxic masculinity even when you're at well-intentioned, if you still have the that kind of mindset, you know? And I do think that stuff is really fascinating. I don't really like where they take his character and how they have him depart and stuff. I think all of that is kind of mishandled.
Yeah, listen, that's not Riley's fault that the writers were bad. Riley is a good character, and he's a good, not to quote Maggie Walsh in The Dream, but he's a good boy. And I think that everybody who hates Riley needs to take a chill pill about it.
Mark Blucas, who plays him, is also a big sweetie. He seems like the nicest guy in the world.
He for sure is. And like, I feel really bad a lot of the time for actors whose fandom hates the characters, because generally they're just people who are just doing a job, and it's not their fault that that character almost every single time gets in the way of some like the most popular ship. And it's just leave people alone, my guys.
Yeah. Yep. And I think what's interesting too about this episode, we'll kind of get into it, but I think like what I find extra fascinating too is that as much as I feel like the narrative feels like, oh, they just, you know, Buffy's big love interests from the first years of the show left, so Riley's just like the replacement, and they try to make him just like this perfect cool guy that she's gonna love. But I think this episode like demonstrates really well like all the reasons that they don't really work and why they would have to really work hard to make the relationship work, despite the fact that it seems like they could be perfect for each other in a lot of ways. We'll get into it, but I mean that's another reason why I think this episode might be their best together, because I think the secret identity dynamic is interesting,
So
and the
good.
way and I think the way that they sort of have this weird like attraction, but also are forcing distance between themselves. Like that will they, won't they is really compelling. And I don't think they're ever able to really recapture that energy once they do get together.
No, especially, so like this is episode 10, right? We find out about the initiative and the fact that Riley is like a secret soldier in episode 7 during like the big episode 7 reveal. So we only get a couple episodes of this kind of tension between Buffy and Riley about how neither of them know their secret identities. We know all along that Buffy is the Slayer and she has to like keep that hidden, but we only have a couple episodes. And at the end of this episode, they both find out about each other's secret identity. So I think this is the peak of that. And like, of course, like this is where all of the like tension meets and like we find that friction. And that's why that's so interesting.
Yeah. And I guess they had to get Buffy into the world of the initiative sooner rather than later so they could actually have the long-term story arc of the initiative like involve her in it. Because if she was unaware of it and Riley's role in it like until the end, like what is she doing while the initiative is doing their stuff? So like I do get like that it's challenging to figure out how to balance all of that. But ultimately, you know, it is what it is. I'm glad that we got the little bit of this tension that we did get, and it works really well in this one.
It works so well here.
Yeah. Like, for example, because they don't know each other's secret identities, that means that, like, when they're flirting, they keep, like, coming so close to almost kissing, but, like, they're constantly talking. They're constantly questioning, like, the obvious lies they keep presenting to each other because they're both the worst liars on the face of the planet.
So what have you got going on tonight?
Patrolling.
Patrolling?
Petroleum.
Patrolling. Tonight you have crude oil.
And homework.
Oh my God, that made me laugh so hard.
It's so stupid. And I love that, like, that is a consistent character beat for Buffy, that despite having a secret identity, she is the worst liar ever. It is incredible.
Oh, you know, grading papers.
That'll be fun.
Not petroleum fun, but it passes the time.
What papers?
Papers?
Grading what papers? We only have the final.
Oh, yeah, no, late papers I gotta look at.
Oh, okay.
She's in your class, my guy. She knows if you have papers to grade or not.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, but I mean, and that's kind of your first demonstration, I think, of the theme. And if you don't get it here, you will get it eventually, because it is every single scene has to do with this particular theme.
Yeah.
Where these people have things that they want to communicate, but they can't communicate like how they actually feel because they keep having their pesky mouths getting in the way and destroying the moment. She's like, just kiss, you two. You can't kiss because you won't shut the fuck up. The other sort of instance of this is the next scene is the Giles apartment where Xander and Anya are arguing. Again, just checking where we're at with these characters. They're a couple. Anya is like formerly a demon, newly human, and thus is like very blunt and like really bad with social interactions, which is why when they're arguing.
Well, how could you say I'm using you?
You don't care about what I think. You don't ask about my day.
You really did turn into a real girl, didn't you?
See? And you make jokes during my pain. You don't care about me at all.
I care about you.
How much? What do I mean to you?
We spend... We'll talk about it later.
Well, I think we should talk about it now.
If you don't know how I feel about...
I don't. This isn't a relationship. You don't need me. All you care about is lots of orgasms.
In front of other people, if you haven't seen the episode, she talks about having orgasms in front of other people. I would simply die.
Yeah. But also, like, what she's saying isn't incorrect. Like, that is the question that she's meant to be asking. And it's a valid question to have if you're in a relationship and you don't know if you aren't really sure if you're feeling the passion or not, or like aren't very clear on how much you care, how much someone cares about you. And in her defense, like, Xander doesn't give her a good answer. Like, he doesn't know how to, I guess.
I would like to make a controversial Buffy opinion.
Okay.
Again, I just am very full of them today. I don't like Xander and Anya together. I, in fact, hate Xander and Anya together. I think that Anya and Xander have a fundamental miscommunication at the core of their relationship that never gets resolved. And I hate again, if you have not seen the rest of the show, I'm sorry about this little spoiler, but in a later season, Xander like leaves her at the altar. And I think that was obviously going to happen, like just even from watching this episode, because it's so clear that Xander got into a relationship with Anya because she wanted to have sex with him, and he does not mind sleeping with any woman that would like to sleep with him. And like she is there asking him, hey, is this like a real thing? Do you care about me as a person? And Xander doesn't answer because no, he doesn't. And like fundamentally, and he cares about her because she is part of the friend group, but every step along the way in their relationship, he is just yes-anding and does not commit.
I think that's a very fair take. I always enjoyed them together because I did feel like Anya did make Xander better. Like I think the best
1,000%.
Yeah.
You're correct, but that's not her job.
Right. I think that's fair. I think that's the perspective that the show wants you to have is like, yeah, don't you see how much Xander has grown since he's been with Anya? And that's true. He's such a fundamentally different character by season 5 and even like, early in season 6 than he was in the first couple of seasons. And I think you can really chalk it up to having to like let himself be vulnerable with Anya. But I think that the opposite perspective that you're offering is very valid because that is really truly only seeing it from Xander's perspective and his and sort of kind of what he needs in the relationship and not really what Anya needs. I think that a lot of that is sort of hidden throughout the show because you get a lot of comedy mind out of Anya's like awkwardness and Xander having to kind of like set her straight or whatever because she's saying something really blunt or weird. That means that clearly Xander isn't the person that Anya needs to like work with her or give her that space to be blunt and awkward.
And like the thing about it is if what Anya needed was like a gentle correction into like being a human person and like figuring out how to fit into modern human society after being a demon for 1,000 years, I feel like there could have been a better way to do it than just shut her down and make jokes at her expense.
Yeah. I mean, that is one thing that I do think is oftentimes frustrating about the show is that as good as a lot of its comedy is, there is still also a pretty heavy amount of comedy that's like kind of that like prodding sitcom kind of comedy where it's just like making fun of other people and like it works sometimes because that's what you tease your friends and family.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's like just straight up mean in 100%. A very sitcom way. And like you laugh at it, but it's also like when you're looking at them as real characters and real people, as if they were real, then it's just like, that's just not a nice way to treat another human being.
No. And if you look at Xander's I'm not a Xander hater. He was my favorite character when I went and I watched through it the first time.
Sure.
I have different feelings about Xander now.
Yeah.
But if you look, I'm willing to bet if you like had a counter and you counted what Xander says and you had like a little tick next to, and you had 2 different columns, and if Xander's talking to the woman that he's intimately related, like having a relationship with, if you had a column and you ticked whether when he's talking to her, insults her in some way, or if he doesn't, I think you're gonna have more ticks in the insult column than otherwise.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And also I think they were really kind of, trying to mirror his relationship with Cordelia because but the difference was that Cordelia kind of also fought back. Like that was their dynamic.
Yeah, she gave as good as she got. Like, God bless, I love her. She's such a firecracker. But Anya doesn't do that. Like fundamentally, she is a different person coming at it from a different angle. And so she is asking for help in a human society that she no longer understands. And Xander is just being mean to Anya.
Yeah. Oof. Oh man, heavy stuff right at the top here.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No,
I've
it's
got
good.
Too many Buffy hot takes.
But that is the thing that I think is fascinating about Buffy. Because the other thing, I was probably going to call it out at some point in the episode, but I will recommend if you're a Buffy fan, I think one of the best Buffy things out there now is the Buffering the Vampire Slayer podcast.
Oh, because
a lot of what they do are sort of they sort of look at things with the perspective like the way that you're looking at it now, where it's like, yeah, we love the show, we know who the characters were back at the time, but there are going to be ways that it doesn't hold up nowadays, and maybe was never good in the first place, that I think is worth addressing, not to tear down the show or nitpick the show, because there's still a lot of love there. But considering it is a show that sort of, for a lot of people, kind of formed their foundation of feminist beliefs and progressive beliefs, because there are a lot of things that it did push in the correct direction with that also means that you really have to grapple with everything that was not good about it, that might also be part of your foundational beliefs that you really have to kind of tackle and deal with and unlearn. And I think those sort of like kind of reparative perspectives are really important for a show like this that is going to be talked about over and over again regardless. So like, why not have those new perspectives to sort of change it? And then every time you go back and rewatch it, you're going to have a different sort of take or feeling about it, I think, as you as a person change and as culture changes. So I love it. That's good. All that's to say is that it's good.
It's very good. Buffy and the Vampire Slayer, incredible. I'm also a huge fan of Passion of the Nerds.
Yep.
Buffy rewatch, incredible, indescribable. It's one of my favorites. And I also am a big fan of Chipperish Media. They do Still Pretty, which is very, very good.
Nice. Yeah. Passion of the Nerd. I was going to put that in the show notes anyway, because some of the readings of this and information I just pulled from his video on this episode too. So
I'm pretty sure you were the one who introduced me to Passion of the Nerd, and I'd like to yet again thank you for that one.
Yeah.
Because I very deliberately didn't watch his Hush episode in preparation for this, because I didn't want to be influenced, because he's just such an incredible video essayist.
Yeah.
It's really, I think his Hush episode is one of his best too.
I do too. Yeah. And also a wonderful voice, and I would love to have him on my podcast potentially. So
Listen, let's manifest. Put that one out there.
Just putting it out there to manifest that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Anya and Xander's journey through this episode is sort of like she wants to know how he really feels about her, and he can't spit it out. Obviously, we're going to sort of see that manifest later on in the episode.
Yes. Again, I'm so sorry. It took us way off topic there.
Oh, no. It's good. I'm happy. I think a Buffy podcast episode should be a long one. So that's totally fine with me. I think it deserves that. So, and the reason that Xander and Anya are at Giles's place is because Giles wants Xander to basically keep Spike for the night, so Giles can have sexy time with his visiting gal pal Olivia.
I need you to take Spike for a few days.
What?
What?
I'm not staying with him.
I have a friend who's coming to town, and I'd like us to be alone.
Oh, you mean an orgasm friend?
Yes, that's exactly the most appalling thing you could have said.
He's not roaming around. If he stays with me, he's gonna get tied up again.
What about us? A romantic
I'm not having these two shag while I'm tied to a chair 3
That's
feet
not
away.
exactly one of my fantasies either.
So you're blowing off our
Well,
evening because
he'd
you
better
don't...
I
have
don't want him to
cable,
come
so I'm not
over.
missing Passion.
For context, again, Spike at this point has like very recently gotten a chip implanted in his head that makes him completely...
episode 7. This is episode 10. It was only a couple episodes ago.
Wow. Yeah. So recently. And that chip makes him physically unable to harm anyone. So like the gang doesn't like trust him because, he has tried to kill them multiple times, but like he also isn't really that much of a threat. So they just kind of have to babysit him until they kind of figure out what to do with him. It's always the hilarious question of like, why don't you just kill him? But he's too lovable. Why would you kill him?
You can't do that. Spike is a beloved character, so you just gotta hang out in your house and like crumble cereal into his blood.
We're out of Weetabix.
We are out of Weetabix because you ate it all. Again.
Get some more.
I thought vampires were supposed to eat blood.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I like to crumble up the Weetabix in the blood. Give it a little texture.
Since the picture you just painted means that I will never touch food of any kind again, you'll just have to pick it up yourself.
Sissy.
Weetabix? Like, what even? What British bullshit is this?
I have no idea. Okay, so this is just for you. You can cut this or not.
Okay.
But I read a take on, like, I don't know, somewhere on the internet a while back, and truly every time I see Giles and Spike together, I can only think about this. Someone was like, I bet that when Giles was running around being the Ripper in the 80s, Spike was obviously in the punk scene in London at the same time, right? So Giles and Spike have definitely run into each other, and Giles remembers it, but Spike doesn't. And so every time Giles is like, God, I hope today isn't the day that he remembers.
That is the best take I have ever heard.
Right?
That is incredible.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Good shit. Oh, that's incredible.
The entire episode, especially when like he was talking with Olivia about how, yeah, I lied, I wasn't part of the original lineup of Pink Floyd. It's like, you were there, sir. You and Spike were there. Did you bang? Sir, did you bang?
Oh, God. Oh, I love it so much.
It's a delight. Anyway, sorry. That's
all good. All good. All good. I'm happy to have that information. But yeah, so that's Spike actually has like way less to do in this episode than I remembered, but that is gonna put him in a fun place in a little bit.
Yes.
The other major thread is with Willow, who is attending a meeting of the campus Wicca group, kind of hoping, obviously to meet others who share her interest in witchcraft. She wants to beef up her powers and everything, but she's disappointed because all they talk about are bake sales.
Daughters of Gaia, sisters to the moon, we walk with the darkness, the wolf at our side, through the waterfall of power to the blackest heart of eternity. I think we should have a bake sale.
I don't know.
You guys like a bake sale, right? I mean, we need money for the dance recital, and you know I do an empowering lemon bun.
And a woman power shrine and the Gaia newsletter.
That's one thing I didn't really catch when I was watching it. That was a fun fact from the commentary. What that was pointed out is that like this episode, it isn't just like the way that they sort of are kind of tearing people down, like I'll mention, but also the other communication language thing in this one is that they're literally just like using words wrong, like the empowering lemon bundt cake or whatever. Like that's not what that means.
No, it's not. And speaking about communication, I think this is the first time we see Tara really, and there's a moment in the circle where they're all talking about stuff. Tara wants to talk and like help Willow's point, but Tara is so shy. Like she tries to talk up, but everybody talks over her, and like the co-chair or whatever of the Wicca group like very forcefully points out, it's like,
well, maybe we could. Yeah. Tara, guys, quiet. Do you have a suggestion?
And like Tara folds and doesn't say anything, and like the way that actress delivers that specific line is such a female coded bully line. Yeah. I know exactly what Tara's feeling like in that moment. I'm so sorry, sweetie.
She's so mean. That lady is so mean to her.
They're so mean.
And it's clear that like they have been making fun of her behind her back and stuff ahead of time. Like this isn't the first time this has come up. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing that's huge about this episode is that this also introduces Tara, played by Amber Benson, who becomes an extremely important character for like about a billion reasons for the rest of the show. Yeah. Not only is she like a good character in her own right, but like, she becomes Willow's girlfriend, long-term girlfriend for a while, which is an important monument in television history for portraying like a same-sex relationship between two women on television. It's a pretty major TV milestone, the way that they're able to portray that for as long as they do, and they break a lot of barriers because of that. So that in itself is pretty amazing, and we already see lots of wonderful sexual tension between them in this episode that rules.
Truly so much.
So much. It's actually amazing whenever it's just like, yeah, we weren't really sure if they were going to get together, when we first introduced her. And it's like, they just have like lesbian sex with the vending machine. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Like I have seen less chemistry in a kiss, like the big damn kiss between the ship that happened like for 4 seasons, than the two of them interlacing their fingers like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, but the other thing that I think it's so genius to introduce Tara in this episode, because kind of her whole thing for a while is that she is very shy. She has trouble speaking in front of others. They even she has a little bit of a stutter for a while in the show too.
Oh, she's so sweet. I love Tara. Like when she and Willow are talking, like she she's obviously gathering her courage with every sentence. The little stutter is so sweet.
Yeah, it's great. She's very endearing right off the bat. And yeah, so love to see her. She has a major role in this episode as well. But that's when everything kicks off that night as Sunnydale is sleeping. That's when the floating gentlemen arrive and they magically steal the voices of everyone in town. There's no way to do it justice, but it's very creepy and haunting.
It's very good.
It's very good. This is when the score kicks in and just kills it for the entire rest of the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, in the morning, Buffy and Willow wake up and they have their morning routine. And I love it because it takes a little while. It makes sense, when you wake up first in the morning, you're not having big conversations. If you're not a morning person, she just goes to the bathroom and brushes her teeth. It's all very quiet, as it probably always is early in the morning. So it takes a while through all this kind of tedious, pretty boring, intentionally kind of boring day-to-day stuff before Buffy and Willow just start talking and realize that they cannot speak. No sounds coming out of their mouths when they try to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And it's good. I think, first of all, it's funny because Willow thinks she's gone deaf and Buffy's like, no, that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
But what I love about it too, that I think had to take a lot of effort, is that you can read their lips so well. They're enunciating and speaking kind of slowly, I think. But I think it speaks to that it's not, I don't think it's as hard to read lips as we think it is. We just sort of probably lean on the sounds that people's mouths are making more than we think that we do, But they do a good job because I understand everything that they're saying, even though they're literally not talking at all.
Yeah.
We also check in with Spike and Xander, who discover, the funniest thing, I think, of this whole episode is Xander realizes he can't talk. He thinks Spike did it, and Spike's like, "What? I was tied up to a chair. What can I do?" It's all communicated literally through eye contact.
Yeah.
Xander's first instinct is to pick up the phone and call Buffy.
And that's another fun time thing, because now we would just text, right? But they didn't have texting at the time. So Xander thinks, I got to talk to Buffy, calls her on the phone, and then has the immediate, well, here's your sign moment.
It's so good.
Yeah,
and
it's so funny.
The look that James Marsters gives him.
It's great. It's so good. I do have to wonder though, how did Spike was he asleep when everybody's voices got stolen? How did he not know that there was a thing afoot? I guess is my question.
Probably because he's literally tied up to a chair, so he can't do anything other than sleep at that point. So, yeah. And also, we visually see the wisps of people's voices come out of their mouth, but if you're sleeping in the dark, would you really notice that? Would you see it? I don't know.
Do vampires have better night vision?
They should. That would make sense. They had better. Otherwise, that's a terrible evolutionary thing.
You think, especially because don't they get in vamp face? Don't they have contacts as well?
Mm-hmm.
Or
yeah, they do. Yeah,
they gotta have better night vision.
They gotta. Yeah. I'm happy to headcanon that.
Yeah.
We also see the Initiative reacting to it. And despite being, secret trained government operatives, Riley and his friend Forrest don't realize that you can't use the voice operated elevator if you can't talk.
Okay, my absolute favorite joke in the entire show, this episode, my absolute favorite joke is in the elevator when Riley is trying to punch in the override code so they don't die in the elevator because they can't get the confirmation. Forrest is behind Riley, and Riley is not going to look up and see this, but he just writes on his little notebook, come on, like he would be saying that, but he can't, so he just writes it. It makes me laugh so hard.
It's purely for the audience. Like, it's almost fourth wall breaking. It's so funny.
It's so good.
Even better is when they do eventually make it out of the elevator, and Walsh, who is, the director of the initiative, just points behind them, and then it takes a second before you see what she was pointing at when they walk away, and it was a sign saying, in case of emergency, use the stairwell. Good shit.
So good. It's so good.
Good shit.
The writing is very good sometimes.
I mean, I think it's a testament to what writing is, considering they're not writing dialogue and it's still very well written,
Yeah. They walk through town, Buffy and Willow, hand in hand, like go through, and there's like this really good scene of like the whole town reacting in chaos. And one thing that happens is that they see this guy selling little whiteboards for $10 so that everybody can like communicate. And so Buffy and Willow have these little mini whiteboards for the rest of the episode because they bought them and to make sure communication is easy. Here's the thing. I'm from Florida and I live in Texas now. And I am very well familiar with like the ways that people price gouge during an emergency. So I see this guy selling these little whiteboards and I think, $10? Are you kidding me? What a steal.
They're big whiteboards too.
Yeah, no, it's like it's exactly perfectly sized. And so I went ahead and I looked this up on an inflation calendar. So this episode came out in 1999, right?
Yeah.
So $10 in 1999 is $16.60 in 2021 money. Like that's like
nothing.
you're basically giving those away, my guy.
Yeah.
And like if you like look on Wikipedia or a couple other places, they talk about the themes in this episode, and one of them is like community and the way that the community reacts. And I think that anybody who points out the fact that this guy is selling signs and is like pointing that at like the way that people take advantage of emergency, they need to like go home and think about what they're thinking, because he is basically giving those things away. That is almost at cost. If he went out, and if he doesn't have a store, if he went out to the store and bought those and is then distributing them on the street, that's barely more expensive than he paid for them.
That's I'm so glad you're here. That's such a good point. Because it's sort of, he's just recouping the money that it cost him to secure those. And it is very convenient to have the guy out on the street, especially given that, like, you see a lot of stuff is closed as they're walking. I think it's like made a joke that like the bank is closed, but the liquor store is still open. But you could imagine that probably the grocery store is either a madhouse or it's just closed off and boarded up and no one's working there. So the dude secured it for the convenience of people on the street. He's really doing a service for everyone and just recouping the cost.
Yeah, exactly. And like even like the liquor store being open but the bank being closed, I think you need to think about what people actually need in that moment and like how difficult banking would be without your voice. I think that if you were thinking about community as a theme in this episode, you need to reframe your thinking about what people need and what the cost is. I am willing to bet if you walked into the Sunnydale liquor store during Hush, nothing's going to be marked up. You can just go and buy the alcohol that you need because you're having a deeply traumatic moment. I think that people need to calm down. I think they're all doing great.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's very calm and peaceful during the day in Sunnydale.
Yeah, like things get a little wild later, but I think at that point, it's been 12 hours and it's not better yet. Like a lot of things have happened in Sunnydale in the last 4 years that are really wild, but most of them don't last as long as it does in Hush. So like it's like 3 days or so that they don't have voices. And so obviously after a certain point, people are going to lose it a little bit. But during the day, I think that anybody who thinks that Sunnydale's gone nuts needs to really think about the fact that during the freeze here in Texas, it cost like $20 to buy a case of water.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh,
he was selling those at cost.
That's fascinating. Yeah. It is. And I was thinking about it too. Like, I do sort of wonder if the contents of this episode did happen today. We already commented on, like, you know, the texting of it all. Everyone already, you know, has abilities to communicate without using their voice anyway. But then it's sort of like you're watching it. If we're watching this like during like pandemic times when many of us literally have spent just like a week at a time sitting at home, not interacting with a single person, a week plus, maybe even longer, maybe months for some people, like not interacting with a single person. It's like the concept of not talking to people for a while it's still a traumatic thing to happen when it happens on such a scary wide scale. Yeah. It's also like, I do have to wonder if people would probably deal with it a lot better now.
I think they would, especially because like, I think part of the reason why Sunnydale does go crazy at night is because during the news broadcast, which happens in the Scooby scene that we still haven't talked about yet, they talk about the fact that the CDC has quarantined Sunnydale specifically because of this laryngitis outbreak.
Quarantine due to an epidemic of, as strange as this may sound, laryngitis. It seems the town has been rendered unable to speak. Local authorities have issued a written statement, I should say, blaming recent flu vaccinations. A few skeptics call it a citywide hoax. In the meanwhile, Sunnydale has effectively shut down. All schools and businesses will be closed for the time being. The Centers for Disease Control have ordered the entire town quarantined. No one can go in or out.
I think that a lot of people would be dealing with the fact that, hey, the CDC knows that something's wrong here, and they're just leaving us to whatever monster is going to eat us. I think maybe that's another reason why people are going nuts.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It all checks out. Dang. Dang, this episode's even like more tight than I had thought it was in the first place.
and I do want to point out that there's no ticker on the bottom of the screen that they watch the news on. So I have no idea how Xander knows to turn on the volume now so they could all hear about the mass laryngitis outbreak.
That is so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah, and there's no subtitles either.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I always watch television with subtitles, so that's the thing that I notice, that there's no subtitles happening. How do they know that this now is the time to give the information? Anyway, the CDC is basically just, I think a lot about the ways that the Hellmouth has to interact with the normal world, because, again, the CDC is like, yeah, it's laryngitis, and we're going to quarantine Sunnydale until we can figure out what causes it, or it just goes away.
Yep. I mean, I guess what else are they going to do? And I guess theoretically, I don't know exactly. I know the initiative is a secret thing, but it is still a government operation. So it's entirely possible that someone is like communicating with the CDC that like the initiative is literally there and they'll handle it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. I the thing about the inclusion of the CDC that's always so wild to me whenever I watch this episode, because I never remember that it's there, is in my brain, I just like expect it to be walled off somehow. It's like people don't talk about Sunnydale unless you're in Sunnydale, and people aren't going to leave maybe because it's like a magic thing. But no, like literally they can't because they're quarantined.
Yeah. That's so, it's actually kind of smart and makes it even scarier ultimately. They're all isolated and alone.
I will say that when Buffy and Willow come in, it's like part of one of my favorite bits in the episode. I know I've said that several times now, but it's all true. It's always my favorite bit. The way that Giles greets Buffy and Willow is so lovely. And it speaks to like the care that these characters have for each other. Because like Giles immediately gives Buffy a big hug, and they have a moment where they're like kind of talking about the gentleman, and then then Giles like turns to Willow and just be like, hey, and she writes on her little sign, hi Giles, and he goes and gives her like a sidearm hug, and it's just so sweet. I love it when characters like each other.
Yeah, it's so sweet, and it's so indicative of their characters too, because all of the ways that they interact when they first come in are the ways that they would on a normal day too, like the way that like Giles is like immediately trying to be supportive of Buffy, and Buffy is sort of right down to business, but Willow is sort of like still like kind of, she always has sort of a childlike quality to her, and I don't mean that in a way to like diminish her or anything like that. That's just kind of part of her character.
She's sweet.
Yeah, she's very sweet, and it's sort of, so it all makes perfect sense. And Xander's awkward in the scene and doesn't know how to like say hi without feeling weird about it. Like all of it makes perfect sense for how their characters would be operating in that situation.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm. So what they do determine at the very least, so nobody knows anything that's happening now. Buffy had told Giles about the dream that she had, so they at least sort of have that to go on. But at this point in the episode, nobody knows what the fuck's happening.
Yeah.
So Buffy goes out to sort of patrol at night, anticipating that there might be some kind of chaos on the streets. Riley also is instructed to do the same as an initiative operative. So they're doing their patrolling thing and inevitably run into each other.
Walsh very specifically is like, a military presence is going to cause more chaos. Go out in your civilian gear and just like keep the peace. So the first time they run into each other, they're both like in regular clothes and they see each other. Like Riley goes and breaks up a fight, and like they see each other, and then they have like their romantic moment where they both don't want to leave each other, but they both have their own responsibilities that they don't know the other one knows about yet. And then they come back and they kiss, and like there's this score and it swells. It's so lovely.
It's actually kind of wild that it happens so early in the episode. It makes sense. Like, it all makes sense. But I do think it's like, I think maybe a hackier writer would have been like, this, we'll save the kiss for the climax and all the tension is relieved. But like, I think it makes it better considering how things progress, that they sort of finally are able to, without having the pesky words and over-explaining get in the way, share the kiss literally the first time they come face to face, when they're not able to speak.
It's so good, especially because like Riley like comes in, he stops these two guys from fighting, and then without Riley noticing, Buffy like comes up and like gets the guy that Riley knocked down. He's like on the ground. He picks up a crowbar and he's like gonna go at Riley because he's breaking up the fight. And like Buffy comes up and like knocks the crowbar out of this guy's hand and is like, absolutely not, that's my boyfriend. And like gets him to leave, and the two of them have their moment, and it's very good.
It's very good, and it is very romantic. Like like I said, I think that this is them at their best, and I think when they have this tension going on, there is a lot of chemistry between the two of them. I think a lot of times they don't have as much chemistry as I would like them to have, but in these moments they absolutely do, and it's good shit.
I think that Sarah Michelle Gellar and Mark Blucas do have a lot of chemistry together. It's just the show doesn't really know the best way to utilize that. And especially because I don't think the writers understood the point of Riley. He's not, again, I have a lot of Riley feelings. I do like him a lot. And every time somebody says something negative about Riley, I like him even more. But like, he is this guy who seems normal but isn't. And I think that a lot of the writers, like, they take the idea of him being like a normal guy and they never remember to look under the surface.
Yeah, I think that checks out, because after a while I think they really hone in on that, and then his whole characterization is just kind of having a complex about being a regular guy. And I think there's interesting things you could do with that, but I don't think that they do the most interesting things with it that they possibly could.
Yeah, especially because you have Xander, who's also just a guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fine. This is not the Riley hour. Let's talk about
Yeah. It's okay. I do have another Buffy Riley thing though on this topic. And I think even as a Riley defender, I think you would agree that this would have been a terrible decision. Whedon said that one of the things he was really nervous about when doing this episode is that if you take away all the dialogue, that the episode might be boring, right? That people will get bored if there's no dialogue, which is a fair thing to say, because if it isn't well handled, it would be boring.
Yeah.
It of course is, so that wasn't a problem. But I think because of that, he said one of the things he wanted to do to sort of as a crutch or like a hook was that that this would be the episode not just where they have their first kiss, but where Buffy and Riley sleep together for the first time. And he said in the commentary, and I quote, "That would be 3 minutes of silence I know people will want to watch."
Are you? Of course.
Thankfully realized, I think while writing it, which feels too late to me, but while writing it was like, this is too early. We can't do this. It doesn't make sense in their relationship it doesn't make sense for the two of them that they would immediately start sleeping together at this point, which is true. I also think the 3 minutes of silence of them just having sex is also kind of hilarious, given that Where the Wild Things Are is an episode where that kind of is happening and nobody likes that episode. So
no one likes that episode. Listen, I can say a lot of things about Where the Wild Things Are. I do think that it's, you know what? No, we're talking about Hush. I don't have to give all of my unpopular Buffy opinions now.
I think Where the Wild Things Are has some good stuff in it and some creepy stuff in it. But
I do think it has a lot of good things in it. I think the things that are good in it are overshadowed by the bad. But I think that if you paid attention to the themes, some of the stuff that happens in Where the Wild Things Are would be better than if people remember it.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. The thing I don't like, though, is just watching Buffy and Riley have sex constantly all the time. I could have done with less of that.
Oh, yeah. No, 1,000%. 1,000%.
Fully wrong in every regard in that quote.
1,000,000%. I do fast forward through that bit.
Oh, don't we all?
Okay.
Anyway, but they have their first kiss, and then they split up, saving the world shit, right? Later that night, the gentlemen leave the Belfry, float into town, accompanied by their footmen, and this is one of the scariest moments of the episode, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because this is like straight out of a fucking nightmare. Because they knock on the door of a student politely. He opens it. They're scary. The footmen hold him down as the gentlemen carve his heart out, and he is unable to scream.
Yep. This
horrifying.
Is one of, again, I'm going to say it again. It's all my favorite bits. This is one of my favorite bits where, like, the gentlemen, very specifically, they're, like, going through town and they are looking for something we don't know. But they pick this guy, like, they go past a couple different dorm rooms and they're like, no, not these. This is the one. This one. And okay, so I'm a chronic overthinker. I will overthink about everything forever. And the thing is, they were so deliberate picking this door. And then the next time we see the gentleman, like, they don't go after Olivia, but they do chase Tara, right? So I've always wondered about what they're looking for, because they have to get 7 hearts. So, like, we haven't gone through that part yet. But I've always wondered what makes the people that the gentlemen go after, like, why them, right? And it's never answered in the episode. They're just creepy and weird. But I would like to present to you my theories on why.
Okay, go for it. I'm curious.
Okay. Things that we know about the gentlemen is that, like, they're fairy tale monsters. And they have to abide by the rules of a fairy tale, right? So the way that I have decided that they work is that they came to the Hellmouth specifically because this is a site of supernatural power. And so they are looking for people that have encountered the supernatural in some way. We don't know the story of that guy and the 15-year-old girl who both get murdered in this moment in the episode. But I think that both of them have encountered the supernatural in some way, and their hearts are empowered with that magic. So they go after Tara later because she is a practicing like witch. She has magical abilities and like and they don't go after Olivia because she knew about the supernatural, but not really. She didn't believe it, right?
Yeah.
And they go to this dorm room, like, very specifically, right? I think that of the people in Sunnydale who have access or knowledge about the supernatural, I think Buffy and Willow are very particularly, I bet their hearts would be very powerful. And they go to Buffy's dorm room both nights, right?
Yeah.
But they don't get to Buffy and Willow's room because they find that guy and the guy that they encounter later. Like, Tara is knocking on the door. The gentleman opened the door. Again, this is spoilers for later in the episode. Yeah. And then she runs and then finds Tara's room. I think they were looking for them.
Oh, that checks out. Yeah, and and we don't know the rules either, like of why they can't get every heart in one night either. So it's sort of like, it would make sense. Yeah, I guess it's sort of, they find the one guy, they've got his heart. All right, we got to skedaddle back to the tower before the heart expires or something like that. So we we don't have time to get any more.
Either that or they're racist and they don't want Olivia's heart because she's black. One of
I mean, that would fit one of the unfortunate things about this show, honestly.
Yeah, those I thought about it a lot, and those are the two options that I came up with.
Yeah. Cool. That's really interesting. Yeah, because that is one of the things I think does work in this episode's favor, and it works pretty often in Buffy, is that like they explain just as much as they need to. They give you as many rules as you need to have for the plot to work, and then everything else is like vaguely supernatural, ritualistic magic stuff, and you just kind of have to be along for the ride. And I think that you don't really ask that many questions in this episode because, like I said, they spell out exactly what you need to know.
Oh, yeah. I overthink everything. I overthink everything in the world. So I have thought about this. You don't need to. The story presents everything perfectly well, and you can just take the rules and run with it. If I ever stop thinking, I will die.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That's why you're perfect for being on a podcast, because this is all about just talking about overthinking about things.
Yeah.
So, and because we mentioned Olivia and Tara here, one other thing that I thought was kind of interesting that was from, I think, I don't remember where I read it, an interview or commentary or something. But one of the reasons that they thought about this being the episode to introduce both Tara and to bring back Olivia, I think she appeared in like the first episode of this season.
Yes, the freshman.
And I think this is really, I know she's in The Dream and Restless, but I think this is her last appearance as like outside of a dream. So why they felt like it was important to have those two is to sort of have two people who were pretty inexperienced with monsters. So there could be a little more like real childlike terror to amp up the fairy tale horror sort of quality of it. So you have people who are, because, like at this point, the Scooby Gang has faced so many monsters that like they are scared, but even like Willow, who's sort of their trump card for making you feel things, like she's also like a strong woman who's going to stand up to him at this point.
Yeah.
So to have someone like Tara and Olivia who aren't really dealing with this on a weekly basis, or especially in Olivia's case, like didn't even really realize how real the supernatural was, even in the short, sort of interactions that we have with them, there's like real terror and real horror movie jump scare moments that you wouldn't get from the main characters in Buffy, but also from characters that do still matter. Like they're not, randos at the same time.
For sure. Oh, I'm sorry. Olivia sees the gentleman it tonight, like during this sequence.
Yeah,
And then Tara,
right.
yeah, I think I said it was the next time, but no, she sees him here.
And, I mean, it's really brief, but it's a good jump scare.
Oh, it's so good. Like the
yeah.
way that he just floats past the window and Olivia sees him. It's so scary. It's so good.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that's the silent horror movie stuff of it all, is I think because, there's a lot of good sound design in addition to the score of this episode with, hearing footsteps and sound effects and stuff. And like the moment when the glass just breaks in the middle of the, the kid drops his glass in the middle of the student lounge and everyone like reacts to it because that's the loudest sound in a room full of silence. All that stuff is good, but then that makes it even more of a higher contrast when you see the gentleman having literally no footsteps because they're floating. So it's even more silence than usual when they're showing up, and that makes the jump scare, I think, even more effective because it's even more silent when the monster just floats right by your window, and that's like more terrifying than if the gentleman just jumped at the window,
For sure.
The following morning in a campus classroom, this is one of the most iconic scenes of the episodes, I think. Probably another one that's a favorite of the episode.
It's also one of my favorite bits.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the funniest ones. This is where we get Giles using a series of overhead transparencies on a projector set to classical music because since he can't talk, he's got to have something to set the vibe.
And it's the Dance Macabre, right? I love that piece of music. It's quite good.
It's a good pick. Yeah. He uses these transparencies, which all have beautiful hand-drawn art on them.
I am so enamored with artist Giles, like especially the scene where he draws the gentleman like pulling the heart out of the guy's body and there's just blood everywhere.
It's so demented.
So good.
It's beautiful. And it's so funny because like he's so confident about it too. It's just sort of like, I'm going to confidently explain what's happening as I always do with like these drawings that like look like a child did it, but it's so good. And it's just like, yeah, this is how I'm going to answer all of your questions. And the fact that like they ask him questions that he already has a drawn slide prepared to answer that question.
It's so
because
good.
He just knows them so well and knows everything that they're going to be asking him.
Oh, I do have another bit of headcanon about this.
Yeah.
So in the fairy tale moment, like where Giles is explaining about why it's a fairy tale, he says that they come and like to a town and yada yada yada. I like to think that the gentlemen like have a period of every 7 years while they'll go to like a Hellmouth or another very magically powerful site, or specifically they will go to where the Slayer is because that is the concentration. Like the whole fairy tale is about like it's how it's like the princess and Buffy ends up being the one that screams and kills the gentleman, right? So if this is a fairy tale that is true and like or maybe it's a fairy tale that was written about a true event, like they're going specifically every 7 years to where the Slayer is, and normally the Slayers don't last that long, so you don't have that memory of like that's what it is, or maybe like the Slayer has to accumulate enough power to attract them or something. But I do think there's like a 7 cycle in some way involved with how the gentlemen interact with the world.
I love that. Oh, I love this. This is great. Yeah.
Chronic overthinker, baby.
It rules. Yeah. Speaking of rules, we learn the rules of the gentleman in this episode. In the scene. So the way Giles explains is that the gentlemen come in, they steal townspeople's voices so no one can scream as they cut out the hearts of people. They specifically need to gather 7 hearts. I don't think they really explain like why they need them. That's just like what
nope,
they do.
they just do it. That's they're just fairy tale monsters that they want. There's that song about collecting their jars of hearts. I do think that singer-songwriter needs to be paying royalties to Hush because she did steal that idea.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they have to steal the hearts. And like you mentioned, the way that the folklore indicates that the way that they've been vanquished before is when a princess screamed. And they do specify, they ask all the questions that we were going to ask. Can you just play a CD of someone singing or talking? But it does have to be a live human voice.
Do you know what that CD is? Like the one?
I don't.
I tried to look online for this because like the way that Willow was just immediately, screaming. I now am forced to headcanon that Willow likes Screamo.
I love it.
Because she just immediately was like, oh, I got that. I have this screaming tape right here.
Yeah. That's great. But yeah, it's good. This scene is packed with so many things that it's like annoying to describe on a podcast because they're all visual jokes. But like,
like I haven't mentioned 5 things that I love about this scene because it was like, there's no point in getting into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things like if you've never seen this episode and watch nothing else, it's worth watching this scene because it is hysterical. It is so funny. And the way that everyone's sort of mistaking one of the jokes is with a steak.
Yeah.
Like the hand movements, there's like a joke where it's like, he's referring to a heart, but then Xander's like, they need boobs.
Yeah.
And Buffy, makes the steak movement, but it looks like she's jerking somebody off. It's all great. It's like the types of things where it's like, I can't believe you got that through the censors for like 8 p.m. on a network show.
And like not even that, but like all of like the character beats, like the way that Anya's just like sitting there chilling with it, eating a bag of popcorn. Like this is purely a spectator sport. Like Xander doesn't go to college, so he's just sitting on the floor. And like Buffy and Willow aren't in their seats from class, but they're sitting exactly like they were in the opening of the episode. It's just, it's all so good. It's truly, this episode is, it deserves every accolade that it has, but this scene specifically is the heart of what makes it all so great.
Yeah, every detail in the scene is incredibly good. You get the image of Buffy holding a sign that says, "How do I get my voice back?" on it, which has been used many, many times for many situations, actually, which is kind of sad in real life. And everybody is on their A game, too. I think, like, Allison Hannigan in particular is so funny because she already is so expressive, like, naturally.
Yeah.
And then when you take her voice away, like, it amps up, so she's, like, just a straight up like silent movie actor. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Oh, she's so good. And like she read ahead and like knew some stuff. So like she like always is there to help with giving the answers. And it's just so good. It's such a good scene.
Yeah, it really is. That evening, we see Anya fall asleep on Giles' sofa, or has already fallen asleep, and this is while Spike takes a mug full of blood out of the fridge. I love that he just keeps like open mugs full of blood in there, like no covering.
In Giles' Kiss the Librarian mug. It's so good.
It's so good. But, he takes a big mouthful of it. Obviously, his mouth is covered in blood, just like if you were drinking, like, milk. He has, like, a blood mustache. His face vamps out because he's drinking blood, and it's delicious, and he's a vampire. So, some fun with that. But just by a series of funny physical comedy coincidences, as he's done this, he also, like, bends down to pick up, like, a book or something that's fallen down right by the sofa where Anya is sleeping. So when Xander enters the apartment, from his angle, he sees Spike get up in vamp face, lips covered in blood, and then sees Anya's head on the sofa, like sleeping, but it basically looks like Spike has been feeding on her. So he immediately thinks that and just immediately jumps on Spike and just starts beating the ever-loving shit out of him. And does it until Anya wakes up and is like, I'm fine, gesturing that she's okay. Xander realizes he made a mistake, but Anya realizes that this is sort of Xander's way of answering her question, essentially unintentionally answering her question of how does he really care about her. Obviously he does if he's willing to fight for her, and that's how he's going to like react if she was attacked. And they kiss, and that gets her horny. She does the finger in hole motion.
She's like, yeah, let's go bang.
It's great. Yeah, Yeah. What do you think of this scene, given how we kind of talked about their relationship earlier?
I think that Anya is seeing what she wants to see from this situation. She's like, oh yeah, obviously he cares about me like I care about him. I don't think that it means they still should have had a conversation about it. They should have had a conversation. They should have had a conversation, but they didn't. And so that causes problems down the line, because I don't ever think that Xander liked Anya as much as she liked him.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I will say even though I didn't have the same sort of perspective on the relationship when I was watching this most recent time, I did feel like even at that, this is sort of the weakest little thread of the episode. Like if I had to cut anything, I would cut the Xander Anya stuff.
Which is a shame, because it's very funny.
It is very funny, but it is like, it's the most like simplistic, I think, of all of the stories and the relationships that they're telling. And it almost feels like too simple and too silly. Like, I love like the physical comedy and the sort of almost silent movie comedy.
Yeah, that's like pure slapstick.
Yeah, and it's really good. It's well done. It's well acted. It is legitimately funny. But in terms of a character story, it is like the fact that they have to do something so contrived, and then Anya like solves all of her hangups based on that one contrived slapstick moment. Like, again, it's funny, but like it ends up feeling the least satisfying of anything, because it's just sort of like, oh, all you had to do was just punch a guy and now you love him again. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
All right, fine.
Also, way to equate men in a relationship being violent with proving their worth, and how like they provide and like fit in a relationship. It's very sexist if you Joss Whedon.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that this show has a problem with sometimes.
Sure is. Anyway, let's go on to other fun stuff and leave Anya being sad alone.
I like, for example, Tara, who figures out a spell on her own to help the town get its voices back, and she wants to bring that to Willow. So she looks up Willow's address and is on her way to Willow's dorm. On her way there, though, she trips in another really great, like, classic horror movie moment.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, because you have like the sort of, if you were watching any horror movie, you have like the girl who's walking alone through like an empty courtyard. No one else is around. It's creepy and quiet. She of course trips and falls, but it all, I think, works because it's very clearly played to be kind of tropey. She trips and falls, and as she gets up behind her, you see the gentleman very creepily floating behind her, and it takes a few beats before she notices them.
Yeah, because it's so quiet and she doesn't hear them. Like, we can see it, but like she can't. It's really well done.
Yeah. It's terrifying for us because it's sort of like, no, they're right behind you. No, go, leave, get out.
Yeah.
Good, just like good horror movie shit. Mm-hmm. She does eventually see him, so she's frantically running. She's in the dorm. She's knocking on a bunch of doors. She can't scream for help, so like all people are hearing are somebody knocking frantically on doors. And everyone obviously is like understandably freaked out from what's just happening in general.
Especially because that is how the gentleman killed that first guy. They knocked on the door and he opened up and they killed him.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. Like, it's a great like justification for horror movie tropes. It's not that nobody's home. They even cut to someone who wakes up to it and is clearly like freaked out and even kind of visually like contemplating what she should do. But like, I don't really begrudge anyone who's just like, you know what, survival instincts kicking in. I'm just gonna stay here in my safe locked room and not get into whatever the fuck's going on, because again, she can't scream for help. No one actually knows why someone is frantically knocking on the doors,
Mm-hmm.
So it's all really good. The other thing that's really good too is like it's such an unnecessary cut, but it's also such a clever one, that you do cut to Willow hearing this knocking going on. So she goes to her door as Tara's knocking on the door. So you expect it to be Willow's door, but then Willow opens the door and it's not the door Tara's at. It's a totally different.
Yeah.
Tara's at a totally different door. They just kind of tricked us into the geography of it.
We think that Willow is about to open the door to Tara, but we cut back to Tara and the door is opening, but behind it is a gentleman instead.
Yeah, it's scary.
I love that match cut.
Yeah, it's amazing. And again, like, it's not like a necessary thing, but if you're trying to amp up the horror movie tension to sort of disorient you, it absolutely does. And it's a good jump scare in a way that like jump scares are often very hard to do.
Yeah.
And they pull it off. But luckily, Willow is like still near there. So even though it wasn't her door, she opens it up and sees what's happening.
She's right down the hall.
She's right down the hall. But unfortunately, Tara, who's still frantically running, runs right into her, knocks her down, which like injures Willow's like ankle or something.
Yeah.
So Willow has to limp away with Tara. They lock themselves in a laundry room. Willow does try to barricade the door with a vending machine, but it's too heavy. So what she does instead is sit down and concentrate on moving the machine with her magical telekinesis. She fails. But that's when Tara's like, hey, by the way, I'm a witch too, remember? So she, just with like a knowing look and like the most sensual, wonderful like clasping of hands, just like the way that their fingers sort of wrap around each other. Sensually interlace. And they have the power together to magically move the vending machine into the door and block it in one of the most romantic scenes in the entire show.
Yeah.
Truly.
100%.
Yeah. We already talked about it, but it's really good.
It bears repeating.
Yeah. It's really good. It's like instantly like, oh, these girls are good together and they're gonna fuck.
I mean, and that's the thing though, like we see that now and we see like that, but the first time I was watching this show through, I didn't get that.
That's true. Yeah, I watched it with someone a few years ago who didn't know where Willow's character went at all, like never even knew that conversation. And I think it did take a while before it's like, wait, are they really, is this happening?
Yeah. I mean, like when I watch television now, if I don't know that something like queer is going to happen, I just assume that it never will. I've been like hurt too many times by television. I was like, oh, yes, of course. This is subtext for me. The show's never going to go there. But sometimes it does. We're living in a brand new world. It's great.
I love it. Oh, it's so nice. So nice. I love it.
Yes.
And I love that it happened here.
Yes.
We go to the other romantic couple on patrol. Riley and Buffy are kind of independently doing their patrolling stuff, doing their scouring. It's a few things, but they do both independently end up making their way into the belfry where the gentlemen are, just individually through investigating and fighting and whatnot. It doesn't really matter. The point is that they both end up in the same space, fighting the same battle, which means that in the midst of all this chaotic fighting with the footmen, they end up finding themselves face to face mid-fight, with them both respectively realizing, Buffy realizes he's some kind of military demon slayer. Riley sees that she's a good, somehow superpowered fighter. All that's out in the open now, but they're still villains, so they still have to fight. A minion pins down Buffy, and it's during this point that she sees and recognizes the box from her dream sitting on a desk. So she's like trying to get Riley's attention. She gesticulates wildly for him, like pointing at the desk, eyeing at the desk to destroy it. He's like, oh yeah, I got it. And it's so funny because he immediately like clocks it. It's dramatic music. Isn't it even like in slow motion or something like that?
I think the lead up is a little slow-mo.
He throws down his weapon and he breaks the wrong thing.
Yeah, and then he looks up at Buffy. He's like, I did it. Be proud of me.
It is the cutest like puppy dog look I've ever seen. It's so funny.
Good.
It's so funny. But then she just like rolls her eyes at him. And it's like, the box. And she's like gesticulating the like opening and closing a box.
Yeah.
He breaks the correct box. All the voices escape, go back into everyone else's respective bodies. And with her voice returned, Buffy screams until the heads of the gentlemen explode. Did you know that's not Sarah Michelle Gellar's actual scream?
I did know that. And do you want to know why?
Why?
Because I heard that. I was like, that's not Sarah Michelle Gellar. And I Googled it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have an ear for it, you can kind of tell. But I'm not like mad about it because the scream they use has to be sustained for such a long time for that scene that like, I think that you probably have to be a trained voice actor to pull it off.
Oh, for sure. Like, I'm not mad about it at all. I will say, if you don't know what ADR is, never Google it. Save yourself.
Oh, God. Yeah. It ruins everything for you. It absolutely does. You know, one thing I do think is kind of interesting comparing, especially with back-to-back with the Willow and Tara and Buffy and Riley things, we're rapidly approaching the end of this, but I think that it's really fascinating that Tara and Willow, the moment that they sort of literally collide with each other, they immediately are working together extremely well. And with Buffy and Riley, they also kind of collide with each other more metaphorically, but they don't work together very well in these scenes. They're both fighting very independently, very differently. The way Buffy tries to communicate with Riley fails initially. And it takes a lot for them to actually like communicate what they need to. And I think that's really fascinating for like the two types of relationships we see because especially if you know going forward, like Willow and Tara, I think very quickly, like vibe very well. And obviously there's a couple of bumps in this season, but for the most part, this season is generally pretty smooth sailing for them with getting together, and their relationship only gets like grows and gets better. Whereas Buffy and Riley in this particular season, like right off the bat, just face a lot of trouble and a lot of bumps.
I mean, you don't even have to qualify it for this season. Like in general, it's a very rocky relationship. They never really find the footing that they need to have a stable relationship.
Yeah.
But I will say that your point is 100% valid, but you are forgetting the first time they ran into each other. Because the first time they ran into each other, they do like work really well together and they have that immediate connection. So like anytime you are thinking about that as a communication metaphor, you have to remember that Riley and Buffy, while they don't communicate well, they do like understand each other if they allow themselves to get out of their own way.
That's a good point because I guess the difference here is that in this case, there is still a barrier to communication. It's just instead of it being words, it's their baggage of leading these like secret lives essentially.
Yeah. And like they have all of this stuff that they have to bring with them, like Riley with the initiative, like Buffy being the Slayer and like the chosen one. Like when they run into each other in the middle of the episode, they can communicate, like they have their very passionate kiss and like they have that moment together. But then when the metal meets the road, they never quite connect. I think that is important to think about because 100% you're right. Like Willow and Tara are just there with each other, and Riley and Buffy need, if they are doing something that requires having to deal with their own issues, they need another step, and I don't think they ever fully take it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's even reflected kind of at the end of the episode.
Yes. It's one of my favorite shots. I'm sorry, everything's my favorite. It's a very good episode.
It's a good episode. Yeah.
Like, the way that they can talk, but they're not saying anything. It's just, do you remember the season 3 opener, Anne?
Yes.
It's one of my favorite episodes of the whole show. And it's another one of the ones that I remembered even when I didn't remember like that it was Buffy. And there's a shot in Anne where Buffy is just kind of sitting on her bed, like alone in that apartment. And when I think about that last scene in Hush, I always remember Anne.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting.
And I don't know if it was like an intentional echo, but I do think that there's something there. I don't know what it is, but I think that there's something there.
Well, I guess the sort of feeling of isolation, because that's what Anne was, that shot in Anne is all about, is sort of like Buffy has left all of her friends and she's alone in this. And that's sort of just her isolated or feeling of aloneness and isolation. And here, even though she has this guy that she really wants to hook up with really badly right in front of her, she's still kind of feeling alone and isolated because the life that she leads is still going to kind of put up that barrier between the two of them.
And I do think, if that's the metaphor we're going with, I do think that you also have to recognize that Riley is also isolated in that moment, because he's like, the framing of it, he is also sitting there on that bed alone. And so they're both isolated because of their own past, and like they're like, Buffy is the chosen one, but Riley has like this whole other thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there are a lot more like kind of two sides of the same coin that I think, at least at this point, than I think you really realize. And then you sort of like lose that after a while once the initiative goes away and everything. But by this point, it is they're a lot more like kind of foils to each other than I think I really thought about ever.
I'm telling you, Riley is underrated.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, let's wrap up the episode.
Truly, I have talked too much, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. This has been wonderful. We end with just a few kind of like bookend scenes. Tara and Willow have a really nice conversation. They're totally vibing, excited to have met each other. Sparks are flying.
They were different than them. I mean, they didn't seem to know what they were talking about. I think if they saw a witch, they would run the other way. My mom used to. She had a lot of power, like you. Oh, I don't have much in the way of power, really. I mean, most of my potions come out soup. Besides spells going awry, friends in danger. I'm definitely nothing special. No, you are.
You're just like, oh my God, I want you guys just to live happily forever. And it's very cute.
It's very sweet.
But I think the point is that, like, despite all this episode kind of saying that language can be a barrier, language can still be a good thing. They are still communicating very well with their language. These just happen to be the two people that can do it. Olivia, meanwhile, is kind of questioning, oh, wow, so I guess all these stories that Giles told me are real.
I just thought you were being pretentious.
Oh, I was. I was also right.
So everything you told me was true?
Well, no, I wasn't actually one of the original members of Pink Floyd, but by the monster stuff, yes.
Scary.
Too scary?
I don't know.
I don't really... Can you link that to like the theme of the episode? I feel like that's just a way to like write Olivia out so she doesn't appear again.
Yeah, no, but like to if we are talking about isolation, like the two of them are very physically close, but like you couldn't be farther apart, like spiritually or emotionally, because Giles is like, he's been incredibly honest about his life and like the kind of things that he's facing, and she never took that seriously. And so like you have this whole like, he is like, yeah, I've been honest about my life and the supernatural, and she's like, well, gotta deal with that later days. Which is isolating, because we never really see like a romantic interest for Giles after that, I don't think.
Yeah, at least not if we ever do, it's not a serious one that's implied to be serious at all.
Yeah.
If ever. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. Yeah, man, everybody's so isolated on this show. It's so sad.
That's the thing about a chosen one narrative. There's only one, but even so, like, you have these people around Buffy who it's got to be incredibly isolating to be in on this big supernatural secret, even if you aren't the one. So Giles has this incredibly close relationship with Buffy, and he is the Slayer's watcher. So that also, he's singular in that way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, and the other scene we check in with, we referenced this a few minutes ago, but Riley comes to visit Buffy in their dorm room. Obviously, like, they need to talk about what happened. And in fact, the last lines of the episode are,
I guess we have to talk.
I guess we do.
And then
they don't.
It's just awkward silence, and they just sit facing each other saying nothing, and we cut to credits.
And the credits are also silent, which is very awkward, and it's very good.
Yeah, it's good. I dig it. It's a great ending, great capper on this theme. And, again, like kind of comparing them with how Willow and Tara are able to immediately hit it off with their words, because they don't have all the baggage between the two of them that Buffy and Riley like immediately do, just because of the lives that they're leading. I think is really fascinating. That's like, language isn't just the problem with communication. It's everything in your life, everything about being in your own head impacts how well you're able to communicate with another person.
For sure. If you are trying to communicate with someone, you are not only bringing in like the words that you're trying to say, but you have to bring your whole self. Like, the way that you will interpret the information that you're giving and receiving is based entirely on your experience with perceiving how language works.
Yeah. I dig it. It's a good, this is one of those episodes. There's a handful of episodes that like, I feel like you could, throw out a person who's never seen an episode of the show before and just be like, this is one representation of it. And I think you could debate like what the best episode for that is, but I think that this is a good one to be a contender, which I think says a lot considering it's so not a run-of-the-mill episode of the show.
Yeah.
But I think it's so good at what it does that despite being high concept and being the antithesis for what the show is in a lot of ways by having such a minimal amount of dialogue, it still presents so many of the ways that the show tells stories and the variety of characters that it has and the way that they interact in spite of all of that. I think it does it incredibly well. It's better in some cases than episodes with dialogue do sometimes. It's really incredible.
It's so delightful.
Yeah. Do you have anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to make sure we got in before we wrap all this up?
When Buffy first calls Giles about the prophetic dream, he asks her that if like that chant isn't something that she heard from childhood, and she's immediately no. And then when he sees the drawing of the gentleman, he pulls out a book on fairy tales. And I think that's an interesting through line of like, Giles didn't know that it was a real thing, but he on some level recognized that it was like a fairy tale thing. And I think that's a nice little bit, a character moment.
It is. Yeah. He's a smart guy, that Giles.
He is a smart guy. He is the smart guy in their 5-man band.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this with me. We talked about this way more and more in depth than I kind of expected, but I love that you were, again, worried that we weren't going to have anything new to say. And I feel like you brought so much so many perspectives that I've never even considered, that I don't think I've ever read about from anyone else here. So, I think you found a lot of new great things to talk about with this episode that has been talked about over and over again for years. So congratulations.
Oh, I don't even know what to say. Thank you. Well, I'd like to thank the Academy and my brain for truly, again, I cannot overstate the fact that I never is quiet up here. Yeah, I was so nervous about doing this because it's just so much. But Derek, I have to thank you for having me on, because this podcast was a delight. I'm so sorry that I took up so much of your time.
No, I have literally nothing against long ass podcasts. If anybody else has a problem with that, sorry. It's my thing. Well, is there anywhere that you would like to be found online or anything that you want to plug?
Well, yeah. So I would like to plug this really cool YouTube series. It's one of my favorite video essayists. The channel is called Second Chance, and I really think you guys will like it if you like this podcast.
Oh, thank you. Never heard of it.
He does essays is really incredible. He does some really good stuff. I think the Josie and the Pussycat episode is my favorite one. Yeah. It makes me think about Josie and the Pussycats in an entirely new way, and I really think you dig it. I think you dig it, Derek.
There's a Buffering the Vampire Slayer reference in that video too. So Yeah. Well, thank you so much again. This was fantastic.
Uh-huh.
If you would like to find me on Twitter, you can find me at Derek B. Gale or on my other podcasts, which include Walloping Web Snappers, a Spider-Man podcast that does deep dives into every Spider-Man cartoon ever made.
It's one of my favorite podcasts, you guys. It's delightful. Also, I'm on that again somehow.
Really super fun, good one with a giant kaiju metal-eating robot man and like a bunch of witchy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like perfect, relevant. It's great.
It's great. Super fun.
You can also find me on Falling with Style, an ongoing Pixar movie marathon, which is a monthly podcast that dives into every Pixar film chronologically. You can also follow this podcast at Gimmicks Pod on Twitter and Instagram for some extra goodies, and email me your questions, feedback, and corrections to gimmickspodcast@gmail.com. And if you could, please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast on all podcast platforms. Until next time, friends, keep being weird.
Oh, you mean an orgasm friend?
Yes, that's exactly the most appalling thing you could have said.